think it's where you live thing. If by the age of 25, you're not looking to get married and have kids, people start to question what's going on.
From your experience with women in the past, before me.
But that's the beauty of living in a big city.
You farted in bed, and you know that there's a time limit on it.
I think everybody's dream is to have casual sex until they meet somebody that they want to be in a relationship with.
Welcome back to another episode of First Rounds on Me, a First Rounds on Media production. Today marks the start of something very special, my darling. Joe, everybody, has not only started, but finished watching the entire Sex and the City series. And let me tell you, he is hooked. And not just like, oh, this is fun hooked. We're talking full-on emotional investment. He's asking existential questions about Mr. Big, passionately defending Aiden, and casually dropping quotes like he's been brunching with the girls for years. So of course, I had only one thought. Why not turn this into a series? Introducing, and just like that, Joe pressed play. Over the next 6 solo episodes, we're diving headfirst into Joe's unfiltered, hilarious, and oddly insightful takes on a show that has defined generations. In part 1, we unpack season 1. Dating double standards. Can people really change for love? Are men threatened by smart, successful women, or are they just obsessed with models? Questionable life choices and all the iconic theories that still hit way too close to home. My darling, are you ready to get into this?
Yeah.
Are you so excited?
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen you that excited for a show series in perhaps our entire relationship.
Well, I stumbled into watching the show. I think you always watch shows every few months.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you had the first season on.
Oh, yeah.
And I watched it, and then that turned into a month.
That's snowballed into you just watching
it
back to back
of
to
being
back.
obsessed with this show.
And people need to know that with how busy you are, it's crazy that you'd be like any spare waking moment that you had, you're like, let's put Sex and the City on. And
I haven't been this hooked on a show since Game of Thrones. So I watched Game of Thrones, I think it was 10 seasons in 1 month. And each episode was an hour. So I spent 1 month, 10 hours a day watching Game
during
of Thrones.
COVID? Is that what you said?
No, it wasn't during COVID. It was before COVID.
How did you have so much time?
Hey, you find time.
10 hours a day. All right. So speaking of season 1, episode 1, we may as well start there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And do you remember what that episode's about?
I think she meets Big in that episode, right? At the end of the episode?
Yeah, very briefly, but the like crux of the episode is about. I can remind you if you would like. She basically explores whether women can detach emotionally and pursue purely physical relationships. So can women have sex like men? From your experience with women in the past, before me, did you ever come across somebody that you felt like completely detached from, like the emotional side of sex? And or how do you view it when you were going about previous sexual relationships or previous relationships in general? Did you feel like you just kind of came from a purely sexual standpoint? Did you feel like you ever got emotionally attached? Like, how did that, walk me through it?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think you can. Even thinking back on my own life, I think that it is possible for both sexes to just be detached from sex. When I lived in New York, and it just actually came to me. I know on the subway we were talking about this, and I was going to say that usually one person can detach and somebody else can't. And I guess it depends how long you go on for. But I was seeing somebody for, I don't know, over a month. And it was strictly just physical. When? Oh, this was, I don't know, 2018.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
And like, I genuinely didn't want to go out with her. Like, I just, was attracted to her sexually. And I don't think that she really wanted to go out with me. Like, you could tell. And I don't know if that's rare, but we did find some commonality of like, hey, nothing to do Friday night. Like, do you want to just like have a drink and see what happens?
I think it's really dependent on the people, and I think it's dependent on the timing, right? Like, I think that, like, to your point, there are going to be moments where like either one or both people find themselves rapidly getting emotionally attached when there's a sexual component because there's more to it. But then you do meet this almost like unicorns of people or unicorns of situations where it's unspoken or it's spoken of the fact that it's just purely physical. And you know that there's a time limit on it. And you know there's not longevity to whatever that relationship is.
Yeah, but I think with Carrie's scenario, she was trying to get with somebody that she had previously dated. And he was treating her.
No, they hadn't previously dated. They had been in the same situation where like he had basically just wanted like a casual like hookup situation, like a situationship type of thing before situationship was even coined. But she had developed more and more feelings for him, and so she kept thinking that she could go back to the relationship and be like super cool.
But when they were in the restaurant and she approached him, why was she mad? She was mad because I think they left off where he just kept using her for sex and she didn't want that anymore.
Well, he's kept like he wasn't going any deeper, and
but
she
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So eventually she wanted to get deeper.
Eventually she wanted to go deeper.
So she crossed the threshold where she was emotionally invested, and then she was trying to flip it with that same guy. And I think because she had already gone past the physical, it was really hard for her to do that because she does it and it works the first 2 times. But then when she sees him out, he's so okay with the pure physical side of it that it bothers her.
I think it's just more so like, I think the theme of it, what really came across to me was the fact that she was just trying to be like super cool. Like it's almost like this thing, it's like, are we cool with being casual and like trying our hardest to be as casual as possible, particularly women in that situation, to like not portray the fact that you are developing feelings, or it's like a supernatural thing to develop feelings for somebody when you have a sexual relationship.
But I think she was trying. That's the problem.
That's what I said.
So like with Samantha, most of Samantha's sexual encounters are mutually sexual and mutually only sexual.
I would say if anything, it'd be flipped when I think a lot of the people that come towards her perhaps like start to develop an emotional attachment. She's like, absolutely not.
Yeah, but then there's also all those people in the episode that know, hey, like we're just gonna sleep together tonight, and there's no expectation there.
I think one other thing I want to talk about in this episode is like, and it touches on the fact of if and speaking of Samantha, she takes casual sex in a super empowering way, right? Like it really empowers her. It like fills her up. She loves every single second of it. But I think as a broader scope for society and for perhaps each gender, do you think it's an empowering thing, casual sex? Do you think it can be, or do you think it always kind of leads to a sense of emptiness? And you can base this off of your own experiences.
I think everybody's dream is to have casual sex until they meet somebody that they don't want to have, that they want to be in a relationship with. So I think I always wanted to be in a relationship, but I wanted to be in a relationship with somebody great, whether that was like the superficial great, something that was just
more than
like And I think until you get there, you want to have casual sex, whether you're a man or a woman. And I think with Samantha, now that we're speeding up, she's always wanted that. And then she meets a few people like Richard or like Smith, where it doesn't work because she finally met somebody that she actually liked, and the casual sex doesn't work.
That's a very fair point. All right, moving on to episode 2, Models and Mortals. You're quite well versed within this world, aren't you? So the crux of this episode is basically, are men threatened by smart, successful women, or are they just obsessed with models in general, right? So like the juxtaposition of, which also I resent the fact being a model, that you can't be a smart, successful businesswoman and a model at the same time. Rude. But basically the insecurity that men feel around successful women, and then equally the obsession with like physical perfection. So in saying all of that, do you think being successful and beautiful intimidates men? Or is it just a cop-out?
Yeah. Well, I think, rewinding that a little bit, I think successful women intimidate men because we don't, but it doesn't have to be beautiful and successful. I think just successful women.
In general?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. There's like a innate internal feeling that we're supposed to be superior, and if we're not, we feel insecure, which I obviously don't agree with, but maybe that's how it first comes out. So I think
it's like the knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah, when you meet somebody who's more intelligent than you, whatever intelligence means, like you're a little bit taken back. Like you don't have leverage.
Don't have leverage. Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
I love how honest you're being right now, because I think a lot of people, a lot of men in particular, wouldn't be as self-aware and perhaps wouldn't be as open with that conversation.
Actually, let me rephrase that. I actually can get intimidated by anybody who's more intelligent than me. And I think when it comes to a woman, if we're talking about like dating them or like romantically being involved, a man sometimes feels like he should be the aggressor and like the pursuer and the I don't know. You got me for a loop here.
But that's good. I think it starts discourse, and it starts you thinking, and perhaps like a whole bunch of other men who are watching this thinking about like what it is about successful women that truly intimidate them. whether it is that like innate knee-jerk reaction that holds deep societal prejudice, or whether you do look at it as a hunter-gatherer, very caveman viewpoint as well, or if it's an amalgamation of both, like whatever it is. But I think personally, being a woman who was incredibly successful in my life, is that you intimidate because they don't really know what to do with you. You're as a woman, you're supposed to be soft and malleable and subservient in a way, because that's what society teaches you. And obviously that's shifting dramatically.
But are we talking about, I'm not misinterpreting this question.
Mm-hmm.
Are we talking about a smarter woman or a model? What are you talking about?
It goes where I'm going to get into the model thing in a second. The original question was, why are men intimidated by smart and successful women?
I think because men like to be impressive and put on a show. And if we can't mansplain or like explain something to you and think that, oh, this person's smarter than me.
So if you can't be smarter than us, then it makes you feel insecure.
Not me. I'm not someone who's smarter than me.
I'm not saying you. I feel like you're the type of person that actually fully...
You're really putting me on the spot here.
I know. Like... You're the one that wanted to watch Sex and the City, bro. It brings up some real existential questions. Well, but like we're together, and you like I'm very smart in a lot of ways. You're very smart in a lot of ways, but I don't think we're ever intimidated by that factor in each other, right? We embrace that. We actually reverend that. We pull that up. It only ever makes us stronger as individuals and as a couple. But I think that there are, and I'm not going to say a lot, but like a subset of humans out there, whether that be men or women, who are intimidated by the other sex being smarter than them, or not even smarter than them, just smart and successful in their own right, powerful. Like I think a lot of people are really intimidated by powerful women because, again, they don't know how to handle it. They've probably maybe never been surrounded by powerful women in their life.
It's an extremely difficult question because now you're getting to layers of insecurity and like...
I think it's pretty straightforward. I think
Miranda's a good example.
I think it's men's
Miranda's always more successful than the people she dates. Mm-hmm. And it's like a catch-22 because she wants to meet somebody who's as successful, but then it's kind of like, well, why can't you be okay with being more successful and marrying? Well, she ends up marrying somebody,
she
but
does.
Going through that process, why can't you be okay with a man who doesn't have your ambition or doesn't have your intelligence?
Well, yeah, then it's flipped on the other side when you look at it of like it is as like a smart, successful woman, and like you look at a Miranda who's like a fucking lawyer and takes no names and like is really incredibly powerful in every aspect of her life. I guess
because the man will feel insecure because.
But then is it a woman's responsibility to tiptoe around a man's insecurity like that? No,
but I think, man, it's so hard.
Like I feel like you're trying to be team dude, but you're also trying to be like who you are as well.
Because, and also this is on a video where I can get, people can cut this up and I can sound like such a dope.
When have you ever been afraid of that?
Okay, I'm going to say something.
Oh, what?
When we talk about the levels of insecurity, if a guy is smarter and makes more money, there's not a level of, in my opinion, as much insecurity on the women's side because maybe she's like, oh, I just want to be a mother and like that's what I want to do, and that's as empowering, so you don't really feel insecure. Whereas if the woman is smarter, more intelligent, and has the baby, the guy kind of is irrelevant. What is he there for?
It's a very interesting point.
But it looks like you strongly disagree with that.
I strongly disagree with the first part of what you said, but the second part I can kind of understand of like, if a woman has all these attributes that...
Like, what is the guy bringing to the table?
Well, figure it the fuck out.
No, that's what I'm saying.
It's not women's responsibility. Like, we can be... Like, in my viewpoint, women should be fucking reverent for the fact that we can be... Like, you look at... let's use me for an example, right? And this is not to boost my own ego in any way, shape, or form, because you know that I'm not that type of person. I work 10 to 12 hours a day. I run our house. I'm 7 months pregnant. And when our baby comes, whilst I will be obviously dedicating a hell of a lot of time to him, I'm still going to be working. I'm still going to be doing all the other things that I'm doing. I can do all of it. So why shouldn't I be praised for that versus someone feeling insecure about that?
Who's not praising you?
I'm just saying, in general. Again, this is not our personal life. Let's move on. Why do you think men are so obsessed with models? You marrying a model is a perfect person to...
this is just society tells you that's what it is.
It's like there's just like this shiny little halo around.
Well, there's
all models.
two aspects of it. One, models are jammed down your throat from the time you could start reading and watching TV.
Yeah, fair.
And then two, models are obviously models because they aesthetically look a certain way. So to say that a model is actually not super beautiful would be a lie. So they are the most beautiful,
professionally good looking
people.
Yeah.
And then we're ingrained with they're the
gold star.
Yeah, they're the gold star. So I feel like it's like why does every kid want to be an NBA player? It's like, well, from a young age you're watching basketball and they're on all the commercials, so that's what you want.
Fair. All right, episode 3. Do you remember what episode 3 is?
No.
Okay,
just
so
refresh my
I think
memory.
this is very on brand for us and something that we could perhaps not as married people speak to, but considering the industry of which we work in. So the entire theme is, are single people discriminated against? Carrie confronts how society treats singles, especially women in their 30s, and the weird tension between married and single people. So as people who own a dating app, do you think that single people are discriminated against in this day and age?
I think whatever you aren't is discriminated.
Elaborate.
Okay, so I'm married. So to my single friends, I'm pro-marriage. So I'm discriminating against them.
No, you're
I'm
just pro Hannah.
But I'm saying, like, when I talk to them, like, oh, when you think about marriage, when you think about kids, so I'm essentially discriminating against them because I'm talking about all the pro
parts of it. Okay,
marriage
yeah.
parts of it. Now, if you're single and your married friends around, it's like, oh, dude, you can't go out to the bar anymore. You can't do what you want to do. It's like pro single. So I feel like whichever one you aren't, you're discriminating against the other.
But don't you feel like we've gotten to a place now is like even more so? I mean, granted, this is also what I find so interesting about this ongoing series, the fact that this was filmed in the late 90s, early 2000s, right? We're 20 years ahead. So how many of these things actually hold up anymore? And I feel like particularly within the last like 5 to 7 years, which is very specific but true, that marriage is not the end goal for a lot of people anymore. And it's not to say that they don't want companionship, they don't want partnership, but it's just there's not such a great importance placed on marriage for everybody. So I don't think it's like this end goal. It's more so just like people being in partnerships. Do you agree with that?
No, I think a lot of people don't want partnerships either.
They don't want partnerships at all? Companionship? Do you think being single in your 30s still carries like such a stigma? Like the older you get and the more single you are?
I don't think it's an age thing. I think it's where you live thing. If you live in the suburbs or you live in a small town, if by the age of 25 you're not looking to get married and have kids, people will start to question what's going on. But that's the beauty of living in a big city where age doesn't matter, what you do doesn't matter. You could actually be yourself and do what you want to do. So I think if you're 45 single in Manhattan, nobody bats an eye. It's like, cool, it's normal. And if you're 45 single in a suburb, people are like, oh, dude, like, you're just going to die alone. Like, you missed the boat. Like, what happened to you?
So it's environment-based versus, like, people-based.
I think so. I mean, yeah.
All right. We got 2 more episodes to dive into. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Do you remember episode 11, The Drought? This is season 1 too, and you just finished season 6, so I'm going to give you a little.
Who's in the drought?
The reprieve. Well, it's more so what happens when sex stops. So the episode dives into sexual dry spells and what they reveal about confidence, communication, and relationship health. So if we talk about like people in a relationship just automatically stopping having sex, or for whatever variable reason that comes into play, you know what I mean? So what do you think a sex dry spell really says about someone's relationship?
Oh, so it's a sex dry spell for people in their relationship.
Yeah, in a relationship. Because remember, I think it was when Big and Carrie were together and she farted in bed. And then, I think that's the episode. And then they just stopped having sex and she was like, oh my God, it's a dry spell. Like, this is spelling the end of our relationship.
I mean, this is so circumstantial because there was a dry spell with Smith and Samantha, but Samantha had cancer. So it's like...
Yeah, she had like a physical libido loss.
Yeah.
Whereas I think Carrie's like alluding to the fact that like if you do something, like I have farted in bed before, not just with you, but with like other partners.
Really?
And I feel like that there is always that thing in the back of your head of like, have I done something like so to gross them out so much that they've been turned off from me now? And is that the reason? Like, would that lead to not having sex within a relationship? Or it can go even deeper of like emotional missteps or.
I just think as humans, we go through so many ebbs and flows of who we are and then you have to counter that times two with the other person. Look at Charlotte and Trey. So I think that Trey was always intimidated to have sex, and that's why he said yes to Charlotte so quickly, because he was like, oh, someone's going to marry me and they don't have to go through this trouble. They're just fully committing. And he was like, yeah, let's do it.
And then when she was like, I don't want to have sex till marriage, he was like, yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah. And then once they started trying to have sex, I think he always knew it wasn't going to happen. And then he started to push away. And then they just didn't even talk about it. And then that obviously blew up. But that's another circumstance where somebody was so scarred by sex that they had a drought.
But I think in any sense of like any kind of sexual dry spell, whether it comes from like a fart in the bed or it comes from like deep-seated insecurity that came from a past relationship, or it comes from like even just us, like I don't feel this most sexual with my body changing, being 7 months pregnant. Like it's a weird thing, right? We definitely have moments of sexuality, but it's nowhere near what it used to be. But I think it's just having an open line of communication about it within a relationship.
Yeah, I think we're a perfect example, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, so say you aren't pregnant and our sex had slowed down a little bit. I think one of us would ask the other person, like, hey, what's going on? Are you still attracted to me? Because
but we even have those conversations now. Like we kind of check in with each other every like week or so and be like, I'm really attracted to you and you're really attracted to me.
Yeah.
But it's just like not only physical changes and just all those kind of things, but we literally are so fucking busy.
Yeah, we're so busy, but also, again, it's just the ebbs and flows. When you first got pregnant, I think we were both so turned on. And it was like great. And then I remember there was a shift when you popped and we had sex, and all I was thinking about was Leo. And I was like, this is fucking strange. And
because you could feel him.
Yeah, you had to adjust because you're thinking about different things and just being intimate with your partner. And now at this stage, I feel like you're getting so tired, and it's like, okay, instead of forcing it, just let the person be how they want to be and reassure them like, hey, I'm still super attracted to you. And if we're not having sex, it's totally fine.
It's not because we don't.
And if you want to, like, I'm down, but that's just the
but I think it's not just like me, it's just also you as well. Like there's certain, I think like you touched on it before, like when I first popped, you're like, oh, it was like a little bit weird for you, right? And it's not the fact that you weren't attracted to me, it was just more so like a different type of attraction. And then you're, like I said, we work so long and hard. The energy level of what we have to be able to expend extracurricularly is so minute that we have to think about how we expend that energy. But yeah, I think it's just open line communication always.
Yeah.
Last episode. Do you remember the last episode from it? Last episode from season 1?
No, well, not really, but refresh.
It was titled, "Oh, Come All You Faithful." When she saw Big and his mother go into the church together, right? And she was like super upset that he didn't want to introduce her to her. And then her and Miranda stuck up into the balcony. Do you remember?
Okay, yeah.
But the crux of that was basically like, can people really change for love? She finally confronts Mr. Big about his emotional unavailability and questions whether people can evolve or if some patterns never, ever change.
Oh, you could definitely change Naval for love.
You reckon?
Oh, no, that's the easy one. Look at Charlotte. She converted to Judaism for love.
I mean, that's a real physical change, but I think it's more so like someone's patterns in life.
Yeah. What about the tea bags? Harry was a mess with his tea bags. Harry was walking around naked. Charlotte sat him down and said, hey, this is how I live, but I want you to live the way that you live. And they both compromised.
I completely understand what you're saying. Again, I think this goes back to, like, let's use Mr. Big for an example, right? Who you are not the biggest fan of.
No, I don't like Big.
But he was so emotionally unavailable, right? So brutally, like, steadfast, unemotionally unavailable. And then she ponders to herself throughout the entire episode, like, can people change for love? Like, not only can they, but should they? And when are they willing?
Yes. A guy will change for the right woman. A guy will change for the right woman. I changed for you because I was like, this is the right woman. So if I need to change to make it work, then that's what I'm going to do. So yes, 100%.
So all comes down to the person.
Yeah, I
Because-
think it goes back to what we were saying earlier about
Don't you
being
think?
in a being able to be in a situationship and being able to just have sex. Like, yeah, you want to have casual sex until you meet the right person.
But don't you think even before me that you started to like really evolve emotionally? Like not in the leaps and the bounds of what you've done within our relationship.
Not at this. I was going at the speed that I wanted to go at.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I was trying to grow and trying to evolve, but I was doing it at my speed and doing it on my terms. But then you meet somebody and it's like, okay, now I have to go faster and adjust and do it with them.
For the benefit of both of you as well. It's not
Yeah.
just for the benefit of you. I love that. Well,
I think Big is a terrible, terrible example because he never changed. And Carrie should have known that.
he never changed up until like the very last episode.
Yeah.
Like literally the very last episode. Even
But that's
then,
manipulative.
we'll dive more into that.
That's manipulative.
In the second episode of this 6-part series. I'm so excited to dive into this too with you because we've been talking about it personally and I was like, we absolutely need to make this a podcast. But do you have any final thoughts? Just wrapping up season 1?
I think this is going to be a great episode. I think I was a bit choppy on season 1 because it was so long ago and the question's really hard. So
Well, the questions are going to be hard, so be prepared.
big questions and bigger cosmos.
Don't give it away just yet. You want to do your outro?
Dun, 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 dun,
That wasn't the outro that I was thinking.
Check us out on one of our past episodes. Thank you for watching. This is Sex in the City. We'll see you next time. Subscribe. Happy dating.
No, it's and just like that, Joe, press play.